name is Michele Foster. I live in McKinney, Texas. I've lived here about 4 years now. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. We came down here because of my husband's job. I started doing cakes in 1995 after the Oklahoma City bombing. The children in the daycare upset me tremendously. My kids were in daycare. I also had a boss from you-know-where. So I quit working on copiers to stay at home. And then I had to have something to do so that I wouldn't go bananas. I began taking cake decorating courses from Wilton. That's all that was available. Didn't really like it, but I have my own methods now. But I also, every cake that I did for class, I took to previous copier customers, and that's how I was able to get my business to grow very quickly. I do everything from scratch. I make up my own recipes. I use real butter. I use the good stuff. When I started with fondant, I tried the Wilton fondant. Won't do that again. So I decided to make up my own recipe, and now it is a very well-known recipe. A lot of people use my fondant recipe. It tastes good, it's easy to make, and it's very inexpensive. You can make 5 pounds for about $6. So,
how would you describe your personality and what makes you tick?
My personality, I'm a little off. I've been told I'm fiery, and it probably has to do with the fact that I'm fairly spontaneous. Things that make me mad, and I take action, such as when my youngest son had failed his driver's test for the 3rd, 4th time, and he was throwing a fit in the car. We got stuck in traffic, and I saw a guy throw a cigarette butt out of his window. Made me mad. I hate cigarettes, I hate littering. I get out of my car, and I go up to him, and he does this because I start yelling at him, "Don't throw your cigarette butts on the ground!" And then I walk back to my car, and my son is like this. At least he quit throwing a fit. So, that was alright. But I think that guy will think about throwing his cigarette butts on the ground again. It's not the first time I've gotten on to people for smoking, and it probably won't be the last. So, fiery, my kids, I've been told I'm intimidating. I'm only 5'3", but I've been told many times that I'm intimidating, and I guess that's true because I'm not really afraid of anybody, and I'll take on whoever. Anybody that makes me mad is going to be on the losing end.
What is your baking philosophy?
It needs to taste good or chuck it.
When it comes to baking, what types of situations do you like? What types of things rub you the wrong way?
I love to make everything taste good so that my family is happy and the people that eat my food is happy. When things go smoothly, everything comes out tasting good. What rubs me the wrong way was any of my equipment is not working properly.
If someone asked you to make buttercream frosting with lard, what would you do? How would you react?
Well, if lard's what they want to use, that's what I'll do. It's like they're eating it, not me.
Name the 3 things that you feel you've excelled at in life and why.
I think I was really good at copier repair. I was one of the youngest. I was taught one of the oldest machines because I was told I was the only one that could understand it. So I worked on 7 different varieties of copiers, and some of them are ancient and very difficult to understand. So I excelled at that. And before I got my job in electronics, I never had anything to do with electronics. I took a course, a 1-year course, and made a 4.0. Top of the class, only one in the class to get a job. So that's one thing. Then when I started doing the cake decorating, here in Texas, I made it into the master's division in my 3rd year, which scared me half out of my mind. But it was very exciting. And I guess my 3rd accomplishment is I have a fantastically wonderful granddaughter. Her name is Lexi, and I will always love that little girl.
How would your friends and toughest critics describe you? Do you agree with them?
I would be described as sensitive with a temper. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
What types of things push your buttons and why?
What makes me mad faster than anything is when someone talks down to me, when they're condescending. And no, I don't think anybody likes to be talked down to.
Tell us about your background and upbringing past. How did it help or hurt the person you've become today?
Well, my parents were strict. They could be Puritans. which made me a square, which is fine. My kids say I'm actually a cube, not just a square. I didn't get in trouble in school. I had a fantastic reputation. But I was kind of lonely. Didn't date a lot, but that was okay. The guys in my town weren't worth dating anyway. So, but the upbringing made me a perfectionist. I work very hard at what I do. I insist on everything that I do being top-notch. I will not accept just the basic status quo.
How do you react to criticism? What's your gut reaction when you receive it?
Well, if the criticism is from someone that I don't know, I don't really care what they think. If it is from someone that I do know and I care about, it cuts me to the core. I usually find some place to hide and cry for a few minutes and then come back out and act like nothing happened.
If you've watched any episodes of The Next Great Baker, which contestants did you most relate to and why?
I think her name was Megan, because she was a little bit shy, but she still toughed it out.
Do you feel your skills are better than the previous contestants? Elaborate.
Yes, I have been making cakes for a long time, and I don't normally put plain cardboard in between sheets so that it'll soak up all of the moisture and fall apart.
How are you going to play the game if you are selected for the show?
I will play it tough, but I will be fair, and I will not cheat.
Define what kind of competitor you'll be.
Very tough.
What is your strategy for winning the game?
I will find the weaknesses of the other contestants and use that against them.
Tell us about your food industry and baking experience.
I started out working in restaurants, cleaning tables, working the kitchen, doing dishes, whatever needed to be done, chewing out staff people who are not doing their jobs. I owned my own little bakery and sandwich shop for a really short time before I got hit with multiple sclerosis. Had a blast. I guess I had about 7 years of just restaurant experience, and then owning my own was not quite a year. I've done the cake decorating and very successfully for 16 years.
How elaborate and creative are your designs when baking?
Well, in baking, it kind of comes down to what shape the pan is. But once I start decorating, I have done very whimsical and to extremely elegant. I love doing little animals, sculpted animals. I do a variety of things, whatever needs to be done for the customer.
Tell us about any interesting details about yourself or anything that makes you stand out. What wouldn't we know by looking at you?
Okay. Just what you might not know by looking at me is that I don't really look like I have a temper, but I do look like somebody that you don't want to mess with. Whenever we go into a restaurant, even with my husband, they always ask me how many were in the party. They never ask him. So I guess I come across as a fairly strong personality.
Where do you get your recipes? How do you put your own personal twist on recipes?
Most of my recipes, a few of them I got from my mom, a few I got from books, online, whatever. Most of them I just made up myself because I didn't like what I was finding online or anywhere else. Sorry, covered in frost. Okay. But yes, I make up my own recipes all the time. Like I said, I did the fondant recipe. I didn't like the way the packaged fondant tasted, so I made up my own.
How would you rate your skill level?
Pretty darn good. I made it to the master's level at a very young age, at a very few years. And I've won multiple Best of Show, Best of Division. I have over 500 ribbons in baking and decorating. They're in a box somewhere in the closet.